So let's get more perspective on all of this, the rural blueprint, policy blueprint. We're joined now by Yan Liang. She's professor of economics at Willamette University. Yan, welcome back to the show, and I want to start there with incomes. China is committing that rural incomes will continue to go up more than urban ones. How does it ensure that?
Good to talk to you again, Roee. So to improve the rural income growth, I think there are several things. One is at the policy level, the government would need to improve, for example, subsidies to agriculture production, improve the minimum price purchase policies, and also, improve the technological support, build more storage space, et cetera, to support agricultural production. And in addition to that, they would also need to facilitate rural industries development. So these would help to provide jobs and sustainable incomes to rural residents.
Why does this document matter, and how does this vision, if you will, differ from years past?
Right. This document is very important because it sets the policy priority for the whole year. So the so-called 三农问题, so the agricultural rural area and farmer issues have been the policy priorities for the past 17 years. So there are similar agendas this time around, such as, we talked about guarantee farmers' income, improve infrastructure and basic public services in the rural areas. But this document has three highlights. One is the emphasis has been put on consolidating poverty alleviation, ensuring food security, and promoting rural revitalization. And then the second highlight is it underscores the political responsibility of local governments and also party committees in safeguarding food security. And finally, I think it puts a lot of emphasis on innovations, both at the technological level and also at the institutional and policy levels.
Food insecurity is a big issue globally, it really is, but as the world's most populous country, it's a major domestic issue for China as well. How quickly do we go from policy to action to results?
Right, that's a great question, and you're absolutely right. China has over 1/5 of the world population with only 7% of arable land. And last year, with the pandemic, with the disruption in the global food supply chain, and also rising geopolitical tensions, I think this time around it's a priority for the government to secure, to ensure food security. So I think to your question, how do we go from this policy priority to specific actions? I think again at the policy level, the government emphasizes on two things. One is to maintain and ensure arable land, like you just mentioned at the top, 120 million hectares of arable land. This is what they call the red line policy. This amount of land, which is the size, by the way, of South Africa, is to be maintained and protected to provide agricultural products. And second is they're going to boost the breeding technology and to promote the so-called biological breeding. So the idea is to provide these technological breakthroughs in order to maintain the food security. And on top of that, I think there are also policy reforms. For example, land use rights that they have been pushed forward some reforms, allow farmers to lease, exchange, swap their land uses, and to build those land use trusts. So all of these are trying to boost the incentives and also efficiency and quality of agricultural production.
So in the U.S., we often see a tug of war between the federal and state governments. China has a clearly strong central authority, but Beijing will have to rely on the provincial governments to implement some of these policies to get results.
Right, absolutely. So the provincial governments, they need to continue to do their jobs. They need to, build and maintain physical and digital infrastructure and provide public services at the local level and also provide the technological support. And at the central level, the government provide financing to facilitate infrastructure and also technological development. And like I said, they could also provide a lot of those policy reforms that would help to mobilize at the local level. And finally, I think policy coordination is very important. As the government talked about the National Food Security Industrial Belt, which is trying to connect all the different key grain production zones So for these areas to come together and further specialize and enjoy the economies of scale. So I think, yes, there is efforts from both the local and central government levels.
Quite a bit there in the #1 central document. Yan Liang from Willamette University, thank you for your insight.
Thank you, Roee.